to look at.
Cheers. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kawfee Talk. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, or grab a martini. We are having some alcoholic beverage today, and we have a special guest. This is none other than Dominick, who you can introduce yourself. But Dominick is a guest that I've been wanting to have on for a while because not only is he an incredible performer and producer and agent, but he's also one of my closest friends, and we grew up together.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I know all the secrets.
Yeah. You guys are going to be hearing a lot from us. So the more that we drink, the more that we have a fun time. You guys are going to be hearing so much. So let's start with our affirmation that we love to start our podcast with. If you're new here, This podcast is meant to make you feel good. You're supposed to leave this podcast feeling better than when you started listening to it. So Dominick has a really good affirmation that I wanted him to share with all of you.
It's not my affirmation. I have to put that out there. It's my coach's, Shannon, Bill's Coaching, shout out. The affirmation is release the timeline. And I feel like that can relate to anybody in this world.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we're all taught that we should be somewhere at a certain point.
Yeah.
Whether you're in entertainment like us, whether you're just a regular person with a regular life and job, you still are expected to be somewhere because of society's expectations. And when you learn to kind of release that, things start happening.
Yeah.
For you.
100%.
As soon as you're you take that pressure off yourself, it's boom, it happened, what you were waiting for.
That's exactly what happened. Hi, Bruno. Bruno heard that amazing affirmation and came in.
Bruno's here. He released the timeline.
Oh, so does Wing. I mean, my dogs never come in when I do the podcast, so I think he was like, I'm releasing the timeline, Dominick.
He was like, now is the time.
Now is the time.
He released it. He didn't know.
Oh, my God. Wait, what are we drinking? That's another thing we got to mention.
We are drinking. First of all, guys, I rarely drink, but I think I'm drunk. I had one sip.
Dominick has had one sip. Dominick, I wish I was a lightweight. That's actually a goal of mine.
It's actually really fun.
No, because you don't have to spend any money.
No.
And then you just get drunk off of one drink.
I'm giddy right now. I'm also on antibiotics. So
yeah, me and Dominick are also going to be coughing up along because we've both been so sick.
You need to explain the drink because I don't even know.
Okay, so we're just having whiskey with a little bit of a mixer. I'm having an ocean spray cranberry. It's literally called immunization, right?
Yeah.
Immunify, something for your immune system. I don't know. When I was dying this week, my mother got me a freaking
Shout
order
out,
from a freaking Uncle Giuseppe's and a medication. Uncle Giuseppe's, if you don't know, if you're from Long Island, Uncle Giuseppe's is an Italian.
It's for the Italians.
It's for
made
the
by
Italians.
The Italians.
It's an Italian supermarket chain. So
Yeah.
if you're not from Long Island or North Jersey, you probably don't know what Uncle Giuseppe's is. But it's literally a supermarket. And on Sundays, they have old Italian men.
And they're singing and performing.
Singing down the aisle. Yeah. And they're singing Frank Sinatra and Lou Monte. And they're and baked clams are on sale.
Wait, do you want to know a funny story about Uncle Giuseppe's? We're going to go, I feel like we're always going to go off tangent. I had recently went there and I was going to make Sunday dinner for the Elgarots because they're not Italian. I wanted to show them what it's like.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to make frutti di mare pasta, with fish and everything like that. So I was like, let me go. I spent $200.
Oh my God.
I'm leaving and I get the call that something happened.
Oh no.
And I was like, this is so Italian. Something happened. We're not going to have the dinner.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I've never done this, but let me call up Uncle Giuseppe's. I'm like, hey, can you return groceries? I go back and I returned all my groceries. No problem. I was like, so there was a problem. They're like, we got it.
Oh my God, they're the best. Uncle Giuseppe, please, Uncle Giuseppe, sponsor us.
Oh wow, that would be
Please.
awesome. We could make some pasta.
Oh my God.
Dano can make the pasta. And we
Dano
could
can
be
make the
there
pasta.
watching and eating it.
Oh my God, Uncle Giuseppe's good. You want to hear how Long Island Italian we grew up? I remember, I don't know if you did this field trip. We literally took a field trip to Uncle Giuseppe's when I was in middle school.
Were you in Italian though?
I was in Italian class.
I took French.
Oh.
Oui.
Why did you take French?
I'll tell you why I took French. My dad said, you better not take French. And I was like, whoop, I circled French. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, Dominick is a Long Island Italian where his father owns a pizzeria.
Yeah.
And I worked there for maybe 5 minutes and ruined his father's life. And then I've been avoiding his dad for 20 years. Because ever since I've been
what did you do? Order, someone ordered pizza?
I think
They were like, can I have like 6 slices and you got like 60 pies or something.
No,
Like,
I actually remember it to this day. First of all, Dominick's
trauma.
family is so typical where like everybody in the family works for the family business.
Everyone is there.
Everyone's there, and like all of the kids are running the business at like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fucking typical. And Dominick was like, you can work for, I was like so like driven to work at like such a young age. And I was
you were
like
like 13, 14?
I was like, 13.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Dominick works. And my mom was like, good, you're going to like talk to Dominick and you're going to go work at Dominick's father's. Okay. And I think somebody ordered like a huge order and they were like, but we need it for like 7 p.m. And I was like, okay. And I put in the notes like for 7 p.m., but there was like another step that I had to do. And your dad comes in and he was like, what happened with that order? And I was like, what do you mean?
And my dad is like so scary.
Your dad is so scary.
He's so intimidating.
And like, he was like, that was like $120 order. I'm like, okay. And I think like I worked like one more shift and never came back. And I think maybe I've seen your father
like
5 times after that. Like I've been avoiding your dad.
Do you like remember how much we got paid? People would not even. I think the shift, like you got paid like $25.
I literally got paid $25 a shift, and I was like, wow, I can go to Friendly's.
Yeah. Yep.
I can
like,
get a Friendly Sunday.
You were like making bank back then. Now that you can't do anything with that.
Oh my God, no! I could wipe my ass with that,
Exactly.
and I'll still owe taxes on it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So me and Dominick go
way
very
back.
much way back.
I was thinking today when I was coming here. I was like, this might come up. I'm like, when, like, did I meet you? And I
thought the same thing today. I was like, when the fuck did we become friends?
Like, we became friendly in, like, middle school. We got really close in high school. But I met you in elementary school. We went to and, like, I remember seeing you and you were with, like, the popular
in
crew.
Elementary school?
Yes.
There were popular kids in elementary
because
school?
Jack Burke. Do you remember Jack Burke?
Do I remember Jack Burke? That was the love of my life. What do you mean? Jack Burke, I for, like... My birthday's in the summer, not to get off on your story, but my birthday's in the summer, and I remember feeling so left out because everybody, when it was your birthday, you got to like bring cupcakes to like your old teachers. Yeah. And they were like, anybody with summer birthdays, like if you want to, bring cupcakes. And I was like, I have a summer birthday. And you got to pick a partner to walk around the school and give cupcakes out to people.
And you picked Jack.
And I picked Jack, and it was a scandal.
Wow.
People were like, wow,
what
she picked a boy.
You guys were like the it. Well, okay.
And we like never talked. Like, I think we spoke like 3 times and I was like, we're in love. We never spoke.
Jack's grandma, she passed. She was my neighbor across
this
the street.
Poor guy is going to hear this. Haven't seen him in years.
I don't think I've ever even spoken to him like since then. But his family lives across the street. But he, that's like how I knew of you because you were like in like the same like crew. I don't know. And I was like, wow, they're so cool. Like, I wish I was popular like that. In elementary school, and I still feel that way.
Oh my God.
I still feel that way at my age of 22.
We're actually 19. Yeah, no, that's so funny. Yeah. I remember, I don't know if about you, but like talking about releasing the timeline, I'm like, I know we're talking about like releasing the timeline of the future, but I actually cannot release the timeline of the past. Like, I actually feel like I was just in high school and middle school.
Oh yeah.
And we just had like a high school reunion. And but I got FOMO. I'm not gonna lie, I got FOMO. I just feel like
happened?
everybody I just feel like everybody hates me. And so that's why I didn't go. But I kind of wish that I did go. I wish we went. Yeah. We should have gone together.
We should have
Because then I got a text message from Olivia Kirk, who I love with all of my heart. That's like a soul sister where in like that group of friends, they weren't like they weren't my friends, but they weren't meant to be like lifelong friends is what I'm trying to say. She texted me a picture of her and Andrew Muscarella, who, if you guys know from the Good Children podcast.
Oh yeah,
Andrew and
podcast,
Joe Hedges.
Right? Yeah, their podcast is funny. I've seen it on TikTok.
Yeah,
it's
and
good.
We grew up with them, and like they sent me a photo, and I was like, damn, Olivia was like, I was so nervous to go, and I was like, damn, I guess that's how a lot of people feel. And
you know what? 10 years is too soon.
It feels too soon.
It doesn't feel like 10 years. First of all, 3 of our years we were like locked away from COVID. Like even though it wasn't 3 years, like it was like really like we lost a big chunk of life.
Our 20s, yeah.
Yeah, and 10 years is just not enough time. 20 years, I'll be there, guys.
Yes. But I also feel like with social media, it feels soon.
It feels soon. I feel like I don't need to catch up. I could just look them up.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I have this like anger
I feel that
and
way.
resentment towards a lot of people, and they're probably like, "Who is that? They don't even know me." But I just don't want
I also
to.
talk a lot of shit about them. Like,
I don't. I just like I didn't feel the need to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Sometimes I want to.
I
some
never
people.
feel that way. I don't. I just saw someone in Penn Station, by the way, and I was like,
Did you? Oh my God. Sometimes I see people
my hood
and
up.
I'm like, I can't believe that you and I were friends.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if you feel this way, but as I've gotten older, I've actually connected with people from high school that like I was probably supposed to be friends with. Like we align better energetically, but guys, I was friends with a group in high school that like how do I word this?
they sucked.
Yeah, my friends in high
But
school were not nice to other people, but I was nice to other people.
I was just gonna say that Diana was always like, you were like, I know you're not gonna say this about yourself, but you were like the it girl because you did everything. You were involved in everything. You were nice to everybody. And that's why, like, being your friend, I always felt like cool because like I felt like there was like the bottom of the food chain and I was like under that. But like I was like, well, I'm friends with Diana, so like people like accepted me.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, I felt
I
like
know you don't feel that way, but
I just felt like the reason why I had my hands in so many friend groups was because I felt like I didn't fit in solid anywhere.
yeah.
Dude, I went to knitting club. And I remember I walked into knitting club and like the girls that were in there, they were like kind of like, they were like the weird girls or the off girls, whatever. And I remember them being like, they were treating me so weird, almost like they were afraid of me. And I was like, are you okay? And they were like, you're just not how I
Imagine.
And it was because like a lot of my friends, I guess they were kind of judgy. And then when I left that friend group, like people still kind of talk shit about me, I guess. Well, whatever. It is what it is. We did plays and like
We did the plays. That's the like that was the thing. Like it was like in the play world, I felt very cool.
you were the coolest.
Yeah.
You were the coolest.
And I also was like, I hate these freaky weirdos. And like that's why I think we got so close because like we weren't like haters, but like I mean I think I was. I was so mean. I'm sorry. I was playing like a character where I thought like, oh, I am so much cooler than these people that I can be mean.
It was also like a rite of passage.
It was a rite of passage. We were taught. Thank you, Michelle Rosenberg. Shout out Michelle, like for telling me like, you know, you should destroy everybody
Oh my God.
in this room. But yeah, I felt like
continue.
Yeah, I felt like with you there, you being in that club, like we got close because like there was like theater freaks and we like to sing and act.
Yeah.
And so that's where you went to do that.
Yeah.
And we connected on that. And we were like,
yeah.
why are they crying?
Yeah,
like,
right.
What's
Why
happening?
Is everyone
Why
crying?
is everyone crying? But
I loved that. That was probably my favorite part of high school was doing the plays and the musicals because I felt like I was living like a Hannah Montana double life.
you were.
I was like going out and getting absolutely obliterated drunk every weekend. And wait. And then during our senior Halloween parade,
Sheldon.
I was dressed as Sheldon the seahorse from Nemo and I was pissed drunk at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I went to rehearsal.
Pissed drunk.
And I was like the lead in the musical, and I can't say the musical because
it was a different time.
It was a different time, and they had me we did not have enough people of color to be doing this musical, and they shouldn't have done it, and they made me the lead. And
but she was very great, I'll be honest.
But I was
she
in a
have been
seahorse costume.
Seahorse, full face paint, plastered.
Like yellow.
I remember Miss Ferguson being like, you can take her home. Like, it's time for her to go.
Oh my God, I was pissed
and she
drunk.
was performing.
And they were like, okay,
number.
Diana, go up and sing. And I was like, of course. Anything for you.
You were like delivering. You were delivering it. I wish I had my old computer. Oh.
No.
I do have my old computer. And I have the video. I have it. I have a video of it.
I remember you taking a video.
I was like an influencer before that existed. I was always filming, always taking pictures, always like wanting to have memories. I was very big on that. Like we should have memories.
You've always been like, you've always had, Dominick is now like a casting agent, a producer, a coach when it comes to like getting other people agents. He does everything. And we'll touch more on this. And like, if you're somebody that is interested in becoming, you know, an actor, an artist, a singer or something, like Dominick somehow has just figured out the formula of where to go and how to do it. And like, I feel like you've just always had that leadership bug when it comes to entertainment in a way that that's a muscle that I've had to flex, but for you that was always there.
I think I've always had leadership like mentality.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like not being a leader.
Yeah.
I hated
listening
to this day.
people.
Like I struggle even like for the podcast. I'm like, what are we doing tomorrow? Here's some ideas I have. Like
But that
I
is so
struggle.
helpful.
Yeah, I think that I have to learn to tune it out a little bit, and I have over the years. But I definitely struggle not being in charge. But it's also helped me in a lot of ways.
But
I don't think I do it in a way where I'm like, I'm in charge.
No, but that's why I'm like, I would literally follow you into battle. Like anything that Dominick does, I'm like, I'm on board. Because there's
Thank
people
you.
that like get like a power trip and they're like annoying to listen to
It's
and they
not
don't know what
about
they're
that,
talking
yeah.
about. And like, it's not about the project,
No.
it's about them and their ego. And I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of something where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm valued and an equal and things like that.
Yeah. Side note, the red light is like, it's like traumatizing because every time it turns on, I'm like, I'm supposed to be looking.
Light?
Yeah, I'm like supposed to be looking here.
Oh my God, no, it's all good. But yeah, Dominick and I go back a lot, and you kind of really pushed me to find like a deep love for musical theater. Where like even to this day, when I branched away from musical theater,
She came back.
I've gotten back into it because of Dominick, and Wicked comes out tomorrow,
Woo!
and I've never seen Wicked, the play.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it because I could never afford it as a kid. But I know the entire soundtrack.
Yeah.
But I
Oh
never
my God,
knew
we have
the
to go.
plot. I was always just like, oh, I know that it's like the witches in college, but I never knew like the full plot. I think like this year, just learning about like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande doing it, this is the first time where I'm like, oh, I think I know what the plot is about just from other people talking about it.
It is one of the best things ever written.
The music is incredible.
Oh,
the music is incredible. And I love a good like prologue to a story.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's like its own story, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like having like background, like having more context for the main story.
I think the reason that so many people love it, and maybe this will lead into our topic, is that it is one of the only movies, musicals, whatever you want to say, forms of entertainment where the purpose of the story is not love between like not like a relationship. It's platonic.
Yeah.
It's about friendships and like how important friendships are and how those people don't always remain in your life, but they change you and they change your story.
Yeah.
And how I like that, this is not like about like you met them when you were like 5 years old and you're BFFs. Like this is like they meet when they're adults and like they don't see eye to eye on everything, but they make a huge impact in each other's life and they love each other platonically.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people relate to it because people have that experience and their friendships at the end, spoiler alert, they separate and that person has changed your life.
Yeah.
And you may not see them again.
Yeah.
So I think people relate.
I feel like talking about like platonic relationships and having shows and things about like that about platonic relationships, it's so much more interesting because it's so much more layered. Like how many more love stories can we hear about?
Yeah.
Which is, I talk about this with my music all the time. Like how many more love songs can we hear?
Oh, yeah.
Like I can write 12,000 love songs right now if you want generic love songs up and down the fucking row. Like I could do it. But I like a challenge, you know what I mean? And I think that Wicked is like a challenging plot. It's got a lot of twists and turns. And you have empathy for everyone involved.
Yes.
That's what it is.
It
like
makes you feel empathy for everyone.
Right. For someone who's supposed to be the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read a really great book about that.
It's about Wicked or about just that?
About the idea of having empathy for villains. And it was like, it talks about like drug dealers and serial killers and murderers.
Because they have a story.
And like you listen to it and it just, it was a really good book. But yeah.
Who do you think because I've known you forever, in your adult life, who is someone you've met, if we're talking about Wicked, that's changed you for good? Someone
like,
you've met.
Like somebody that I still love or somebody that
Whether you still love them or you've met them and they've made such an impact in your life in a way you didn't know, and maybe they're very different from you.
Well,
because I feel like meeting people as an adult in a friendship
different.
way is different. It's very hard. It's kind of like, wait, are we going to be friends? Like, this is awkward. Like, I have a life. Like, you have a life.
Yeah.
So I feel like, is there a person that has come into your life where, like, you feel that? Like, they've really changed you're, something about you, or they've influenced you in some way?
I feel like the group of friends that I have now that I've met in my adulthood, like my friend Bianca, my friend Joanna, those two girls specifically, like we call each other like our little trio because Bianca is an actress and she works, behind the scenes on film, and Joanna is a dancer and like choreographer and works behind the scenes on film. I'm a singer, and like the way that those two girls specifically have made me feel so safe and empowered, and like we just have the same mindset on being creative and like releasing the timeline. You are unlimited and you can do all these things, and we just have those friendships with those girls, and also their friends have now become my friends, and my friends have become their friends, and like we met each other in a very interesting way where Bianca's ex-boyfriend was actually one of my best friends.
Oh.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of my best friends, and I loved him, and I still have love for him. But I'll be honest, he was a shitty boyfriend to her, and me being somebody that's very like women empowered, I just felt like he was showing a lot of red flags for many years. And there was a point where they were, I guess, not to air out their dirty laundry, but there was a point where they had separated but not separated. And then he kind of introduced me to Joanna.
Okay.
And I was like, and I had suspicions. I was like, you went on a date with her? Because they, not only are the girls from the same place, they have similar interests, they look similar. And I was like, oh. And then I accidentally invited, because I loved them both. Yeah. I became friends with both of them, and he got back with his girl. I accidentally invited them both to come to help me out with a music video. And then they met and they hit it off. And I was like, wait, is this your first time meeting? And they were like, yes. And then, fast forward 2-3 years, we've all been the closest of friends, and he's not in any of our lives anymore. Yeah. And those girls have changed my life. Like, I just feel like so nurtured. Yeah. Like as a woman.
Almost like you've always been looking for that, right?
Yes.
In a friend? Because,
like I've had issues with like cliques and friendships, and I always kind of never felt like I fully fit in with like a clique. Mm-hmm. And, even when we were like friends in high school, like we were friends, but we had our own spaces. And with those girls and like just our friend group now, I'm like, wow, I feel so like celebrated is the right word. I never felt like truly celebrated in a friend group before.
No, that's like, I feel it.
What about you?
I feel that, obviously mine is Axel.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I feel so, I think that if we're relating it to Wicked, we're going to have to relate to Wicked, but I think that we're very different and at the same time very similar. And I think that he is someone that I was always like wanting a friend like him. Yeah. I don't have many friends in general. I don't have many guy friends. Yeah. I've had really, really great guy friends. Like, in high school, Ryan was my best friend, but like that faded away just naturally. And I think after that, I was really like, almost like searching, not like looking like on the streets. Like, I really want a guy best friend. But when I had met him, it was for work. It was for him to be in, my show. And I wasn't expecting to form a friendship or a bond that we have now. But it had been like, and he actually wrote a really nice card to me once saying like that he had always been searching, because he doesn't really have that many friends. I hope that's okay to say, Axel. Mm-hmm. He had wrote that, like, he'd always be searching for, a friend that kind of was passionate about things that, I think that we connect on that way, that we're very passionate. We're there for each other. We're not overbearing. I can be sometimes. But, yeah, he's someone that has definitely changed my life. And it seems like when we did become friends that, like, a piece of me, like, had become whole. Not to be, like, dramatic.
No, but I totally understand that because...
And you've seen us, like...
Yes, and you guys have a great, healthy friendship. I think that when you have healthy relationships of any kind, you get to a point where you're, like, you want that for other people. Yeah. Because I see people, I mean, no tea, no shade, but, like, talking about, like, our... high school group and how there was just a high school reunion. Mm-hmm. I see people that I'm like, you've never grown out of that friend group, and like how can you, and you're like, you're still, and look, I'm all for a high school sweetheart couple. Like
Right.
there are some people that I really truly believe, I'm like, you're high school sweethearts. You were meant to meet in high school. You
Yeah.
were meant to get married. You're meant to have kids. Like, I totally believe that you can find your soulmate in high school.
Yeah.
But I think that there's another thing where sometimes you're just comfortable and you have an inability to make friends outside of the people that you just happen to grow up around.
Yeah.
And I feel pity for those people because I'm like, when can you actually ever be sure that you are being your authentic self?
Yeah.
I feel like I never became my authentic self until I left and until like toxic people left my life. Like my old ex roommate, that's like, you know, the saga that I will talk about forever because that changed my life completely.
Yeah.
I wanted to start with something positive, but for those of you who don't know the story that I talk about all the time.
She has changed you for good.
My ex-best friend / ex-roommate, oh my God, which I have a story about. I said it on the last episode of the podcast with Dano, but she basically like, I lived with her for 4 years. She was extremely mentally ill, a narcissist, a sociopath. I want to diagnose her with 12 things. She's so fucked up in the head. And she made me feel like I was not on the same in the same dimension as her. And my life felt so horrific. And the moment she left my life, every door that I had been like pulling at to try to opened up, swung open.
Yep.
Like, so she left my life and it was like, this person wants you. You can do this and you can do this and you can do this. And I just feel, and I didn't even grow up with her. That was 4 years with her. Imagine staying with that. I mean, no, that was 8 years with her, but imagine staying with the same people your entire life and not being able to make a singular new friend.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That to me is terrifying.
I like that you just said something about being authentic or something with someone, like being your real self. I think I'm going to rephrase what I just said, about Axel, about you. You're someone I've never felt like, I mean, as we got older, that I had to change myself for. And I think that's what I mean when I said, like, I've always been looking for that. I've never been friends with someone, like a guy, where I felt like I didn't have to act a certain way. So they weren't like, oh, are you gay? Or, oh, you know, like, I just felt like I could be myself and we could hang out and we can talk and I can trust him. And it was I never felt like I couldn't trust him. Right. And I have trust problems. And I like when I can be I don't think I could be myself around many people, unfortunately. I think that's sad, but it's true.
No, I mean, I think that's like a boundary.
Yeah, I think I've learned that boundary that I'm always like code switching and switching it up to be, you know, if I'm in the musical theater world, like I'm acting a certain way. And if I'm, you know, talking to a guy, I'm talking down here, you know, like you kind of have to switch it up. But I liked that with this person I barely knew, I could be myself. And I had only known him for a short time. And I remember when he left, the day after Rock of Ages, he was like going back to Georgia for a little bit and then he was coming back to the city. And I cried and I didn't know why. Because I was like, I barely know this kid. Like we really just hung out that week. He stayed at my house when he was like doing the show, the late nights and everything like that. And we really bonded. It felt like a brother.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we'd wake up, we would get breakfast, we would go to the gym. Like, and I was like, wow, I've never had that. And I've always kind of wanted it, but I always felt kind of judged.
Yeah.
So that person has changed my life.
Being your most authentic self, like you should never feel hindered by anybody in your life. And the minute that you feel like you got to close yourself off, it's a dub. Yeah. It's a dub. I want to jump into like adult friendships because I know that that's something that that we really wanted to talk about, and the evolution of friendships and like.
And guys, why does no one talk about that?
I feel like nobody.
Why does no one talk about adult friendships? We're sick of the romance.
Yes,
guys, we get it. You're in love. Like it's time to like. I don't know. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of romance. Like everyone falls in love.
I feel like we've gotten to a point now where women and men are kind of realizing like. You know, women, we've been on this wave recently where we're like, our girls are our girls forever. Yeah. You know, like we want to ride or die with our girls. And I feel like guys are kind of having, you know, and I love to see it. I love to see like guys that are typical masculine dudes also have like good, open, emotionally intelligent relationships. But I'm realizing now like you really need that to survive. And I feel like women have been empowered and been like, I don't really need a guy.
Yeah.
I don't need a man. Guys are just kind of like, well, I mean, sometimes guys have been very disposable with their relationships, but it's important to kind of have those pillars around you.
Yeah.
And
I think most guys are disposable with relationships, whether it's with a woman, whether it's with a friend, because you're taught to like not that if you show emotion, or you show that feeling, you're not masculine.
Yeah. Or people will be like, I remember growing up. When we were growing up, guys,
when we
like
grew
in
up,
the
it was also a
2010s,
different time.
Yeah, it was a different time. Like I feel like a lot of Gen Zers we're on the cusp of Gen Z and millennial.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of young Gen Z people,
They don't really care as much. They're more like,
no, but they're very judgmental when it comes to like how we grew up. And like you guys have to understand it was a different time. Like no matter who you were, if you were gay, if you were straight, or if you were whoever, people were throwing around the word gay like you would not believe.
You would not believe.
People were throwing the F slur around like it was normal.
Crazy.
It was normal.
Yeah.
And like the gay kids were doing it and whatever. But also, if you were gay, you didn't fucking talk about it.
No.
And now it's a completely different world. And like the guys, when we were growing up, I felt like if they were like, yeah, man, like, I think it's really cool that you did it. I remember guys would always, if one of the dudes would ever be like slightly emotional, be like, yo, what are you, gay, bro?
Yep, yeah.
What are you, gay? And I'm really happy to see that like that's changed.
Yeah.
Because you being emotionally intelligent doesn't make you gay.
Right.
Maybe that's why a lot of gay guys have a lot of friends that are girls, and a lot of girls would prefer to be friends with gay guys or emotionally intelligent guys because it's easier to talk to.
Yeah.
You know, there was one guy that I thought was a really good friend to me in high school. One guy, and to this day, like I still think about him, and I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
Joe, because he was like my one friend that I was like,
yeah.
I think honestly, eventually too, I probably would have ended up dating him, but thank God that didn't happen because that wouldn't have been good. But
that word was like, that word used to like crush me because I did theater and I don't know, like I just I still don't understand to this day how that all equates, and like my voice is high and nasally and like I've always felt I had to act a certain way, so I wasn't perceived that way, like it was a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could care less what you think.
Yeah.
I think it's number one, no one's business.
Yeah.
Number two, like, oh, you think I'm gay? Like, oh, no, I'm not. But I think gay people are the greatest people on this planet.
Right. So like,
thank you for that compliment. You think I'm stylish? You think I'm funny? You think I'm open and sensitive? Oh, those are all great qualities.
Trendsetter.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I think of that word, it's all positive things to me.
I agree.
I'm really happy for the people growing up now that they look a little bit more. I mean, I work with so many kids from like Farmingdale, and to just see the way that they get to grow up and they seem happier. Like they don't have to hide so much. Like I love singing.
Yeah.
I loved that growing up, and like I would be embarrassed. I would be like I don't do that.
No, my God, that's so true.
That's sad.
We felt like we had to be so tough growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, not to dox ourselves, but we grew up in Massapequa Park, North Massapequa, Massapequa Park. We went to Farmingdale High School on Long Island, and like the way we grew up is like, yo, like the girls fist fought.
Yeah.
The guy, like everybody was just like, you had to seem so tough. I mean, Island, growing up on Long Island, like the kids we were insane.
Yeah.
Like we all start drinking at like 13. We're getting messed up in the
Not
woods.
all of us.
Sorry, just me. Dominick had an intervention with me at 15 because on a Tuesday I was drinking a gallon of wine.
In a limo.
So yeah, but it's like, it makes me really happy seeing a lot of kids grow up today. And feel free. And also, I find it interesting that a lot of people our age, like, I think almost every girl I talk to always says, including myself, I'm like, if I actually ever had the time to sit with the fact that it doesn't really matter what sexuality you are or this or that, because I don't align myself with being 100% straight, personally.
No one on this planet is 100% straight.
Nobody.
No one.
The societal bounds have taught you that you have to be this and this and this, which fine, that's your personal choice. Even though I'm in a relationship with a man, I know for a fact that if me and Dano were not together right now, I'd be seeing women and men.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's true.
woo woo for the gays, for the gays. But yeah, I don't identify myself as straight. I definitely identify myself as like.
I just think
Queer
we're
or
all like
whatever.
fluid. Like I
Also,
don't think
Yeah.
like
Hi, baby. Dano is
the
here.
chef is here.
The chef is
What's
here.
up? How are you?
Dano's interrupting you.
What's up? How are you?
Hi, baby. How are you?
I'm on, just so you guys know, I'm on this podcast because of him. Because I loved his clips.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
baby, your clips do well.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I just moved the camera. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and me and Dan will talk about this too. I think it's also important to have these conversations in relationships, talking about like your sexuality and everything. Because
Can I just say also that I don't know him super well. I obviously love him and I love him for you. But he is someone that also I've never felt that I couldn't be myself around.
oh yeah,
He is so chill. So like you could feel like a loving
oh he is.
energy.
His energy is so warm and open, which
Yeah.
is like the biggest reason as to why like I feel like I flourished the way that I have, because I went from living in that horrible home
Yeah.
with those crazy people
Yeah.
to then being in a house where I feel like super loved all the time. And like
Yeah.
when I'm my messiest, like if I'm having a panic attack or if I'm freaking out or something, like I wake him up in the middle of the night and like I'm never a burden to him, which is something that I've never felt in my life.
Yeah.
But also he's super open with like I can talk to him about anything and like he can talk to me about anything. I've talked to him about my sexuality and like friendships and
Yeah.
everything. And you know, our friend that I'm no longer friends with, that's been a very interesting
Journey.
for me, because I feel like it's an adult friendship that it's sad to see go, and like I never
Yeah.
wanted that friendship to end, but sometimes you have to give yourself closure, and you can't be a part of everybody's season currently, and
No.
like it's just a season that I can't be a part of. Brew, you love Dominic. All of my dogs love you.
Guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't love dogs.
He does not.
I'm also very allergic to them. Diana's dog,
Old dog
old dog, Duke.
would hump
He-
the shit.
Can you say
would
that on the
hump
podcast?
the shit out of Dominic.
Do you remember the day he like picked me up and like you remember
Body
slammed me
in my
and
mom's
like
kitchen?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duke was crazy.
For some reason, pets like love me.
It's
and
like
I'm
they
like,
can
"Hi."
It's like they can sense that you just need to be like, they're like, oh,
Loved
you
by
don't
a
like me?
pet.
I'm going to make you like
Yeah.
me. Yeah, absolutely fucking insane. Insane. Yeah, I feel a lot of friendships right now, like,
Friendships are
friendships-
so like I want to make this I feel like I value friendships so much because I don't have the best like family situation
Yeah,
that I
let's chat
really
about that.
rely on friendships. They mean so much to me. Like they're very, very important. And I also think that like even if I had the most amazing, incredible family life, like they still would matter to me because friends like don't have to be in your life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But you do need them. And that's why I feel really bad when people don't have friends. Because I feel like the ones that I do have are like the absolute like best. Like I feel like I'm very lucky.
I also feel like, and this is an issue that I had with our other
Right.
friend that I'm no longer friends with, is that there was always this like pioneering for like, oh, well, I'm always alone. Like, I don't need anybody. And there's so many women that act like this that are like, well, I don't mind being alone. Like, I'm independent. It's like, no. That's not something to gloat about. It's good to be comfortable with being alone. But when you're alone all of the time, that is not an admirable thing.
No.
That's sad.
Yeah.
And that can turn you into, you know, and I mean, I saw changes with this friend due to that. But even with myself, a lot of the time when I spend too much time alone, like religiously, I'm a very social person. I thrive off of human connection, but like spending too much time alone, being a loner, not having any friends and not being able to rely on anybody is not something to aspire to.
No.
That's not like a cool thing. That doesn't make you a cool girl or a cool
So-
guy.
No, it does not. It makes you like it's like very sad.
It's sad, and it's like, well, why?
Right.
Why don't you have friends? Why don't you want friends? Why
Right.
can't you make friends?
Yeah.
Like there's all these questions of like, is it you? Is it them? Is it
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way? To me, that's not, you should never strive
To
to
be,
be fully reliant on yourself and alone.
no.
That's not something that I would ever like, I'm also somebody who's like, I've never wanted to live alone in an apartment. That's not
No.
something that I would ever.
Should we talk about us being?
Oh my God.
Wait, are we recording?
This is recording me. Oh,
No.
yeah, on the computer.
Because
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah, it's still
doing
recording.
that thing. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That would happen to us.
Talking about seasons of friendships. Dominic and I have been through
We need
so
to like
many.
explain, like, when I tell people, first of all, when I tell people this also the time, like, of when we were there, people are like, you lived with a girl. I was like, you guys don't get it.
You don't
Like,
get it.
the dorm rooms that school had was like $1,800 back then for like living with like 3 people in like a 9x9 like room
with a bed that was smaller than a twin.
Yeah.
It was like a super twin or something crazy.
So we were
like,
roommates in a studio apartment. And it was not great.
No, we were freshly 18 and
again, very different. Not that 2 people can't be different and be really close, but I was like very stuck up. Well, okay, let's go back. I once again felt like I think I didn't know who I was. I felt
nobody did.
I feel like at the core I knew what, like, now I'm like, I've always been this person.
Yes.
But I was trying out different things.
Different persona.
And like I was organic, I was a skater, I was everything you could think of.
Dominic like did this whole organic kick.
Guys, I didn't wear deodorant. I would rub a rock under my arm. And my very good friend here and other friends were like, you smell like shit. You have to wear deodorant. And I'm like, I'm so natural. Like,
Dominic,
but can we explain that I used like at the same time like got to be glued like hairspray, had Pauly D blowout while I was so natural.
Yes. Yeah, me and Dominic lived together in this studio apartment in the financial district, and we lasted like 6 months.
6 months.
Together.
I like disappeared, I think.
You literally disappeared, and like one day you were like, we're not. We went to the New York Film Academy, and one day you were like not in school, and you were like, yeah, I'm not coming back, and I was like, okay. But also, Dominic was going through a tough time because he was going to school and then traveling back to Long Island to work at his father's pizzeria.
Which was like if I wanted to live there, I had to do that. So I would travel back and forth. I was
tough.
also.
I can't believe you did that.
That
was so unfair to you.
It was really unfair.
That was so unfair.
My siblings did not have that experience, by the way, when we get into family trauma. But I had to go home and work, which I really wasn't fond of. And I felt like I couldn't like go out or like have a college experience.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was always being watched by them. Which, I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but
I also think like during that time, I think it would have been different for us if you weren't working there because you and I would have been able to grow together.
I agree.
And like you would come back and I felt like I was making these friends and like you were kind of jumping in and like I was trying to make you feel included, but also like I was kind of being a know-it-all where I was like, I was so obsessed with like living in the city and getting off of Long Island that I was like, I want to go here and I want to do this and I want to be that and I want to take pictures and I want to go to the hottest places and the hottest stuff. But, like, it's not like we were at NYU. Like, kids didn't do that. We were going to school. You guys don't understand.
Nonstop.
We were going to school not only nonstop, like 9 to 7 p.m.
And then filming. Yeah.
But also, we were going to school with, like, 30-year-olds.
30-year-olds.
And we were 18 years old. Like, we had these older people, this older woman who was 40 years old going through like a custody battle. She was a coke addict.
Oh my God, I need to tell a story about that.
She ended up kind of like killing this kid we went to school with because of the drugs that she was giving him, and he ended up dying. And it was a big thing, and like we were kind of growing, and I felt like it was family responsibility. That was so unfair to you, and I don't feel like I ever told you that because I remember Dominic said something to me. And I felt like, and I love your family and I love your mother, but I remember feeling like that's so not cool to taint this experience for him. Because you said to me one time, you're like, I have to help my family. And like, there were so many formative years for me when I was younger, like going on field trips and doing this. And you were like, I have to do this so like my siblings can have certain things. And I was like, that shouldn't be your job as the oldest sibling.
I think that my parents are incredible.
Yeah.
And like, that. Like,
yeah.
They I think that my siblings are different than me in the sense that like they don't care about what they think, and I have always, and to this day it like haunts me. Like it haunts me. Like I care so much about what they think that like when I wanted to go to homecoming because I was nominated for homecoming prince or whatever,
Yes, yeah.
and they were like, "You're not gonna work. You're going to homecoming." But I like felt so much guilt, and I didn't go, and I missed that experience, and that traveled all the way to college, all the way to this day,
Yeah.
where I feel so guilty all the time because I feel like I'm letting them down.
And you still hold this resentment?
Oh, absolutely. Our relationship, I mean, me and my mom used to be very close.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember.
Yeah.
And now I feel as I don't even know that person,
Really?
which is really sad. And I love her with all my heart, but it's this like guilt, like I'm always doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's someone that needs to learn to release the timeline. Like,
Yes.
I am sorry that I have not gotten married to an Italian girl and have 2 babies by now, but there's a lot of time for that.
Yes.
There's also, a lot of things I have done that you have not acknowledged.
This is a really difficult conversation. I think
Really
a lot
difficult.
of people that are listening to this are going to relate to this, that when you have family that it feels like no matter what you do, they simply cannot be proud of you. And then you have all these accomplishments that like everyone around you, and I know this because I know everyone around Dominick, my family is like, my dad, who is tough as balls on me, tough as nails on me, like causes me that trauma,
Yeah.
talks about Dominick in such a high esteem.
Wow.
Like my dad is like, wow, I love that Dominick's doing that. Wow, Dominick's doing that. Wow, Dominick works for this. Oh, wow. I saw Dominick the other day and he was doing this over at this coffee shop. And, he's really incredible. He got this. But my father, who is like so opinionated on my life, really like it's so difficult to have another person praise you and then no matter what, like your parents' opinion be the Achilles heel that you
Yeah.
just can't be like, I don't care about it.
Yeah.
That's who my dad is to me, And let me ask you a question. Do you ever hear your parents brag about you or what you do to other people? Do you ever hear them gas you up to other people when you're not
No.
around? Really?
No, and I think if I'm in the room and like other people are saying it, they will, but it's almost in a negative way where it's like, yeah, well, we never hear him do that because he's always out, or it's never positive.
It's like he
which
doesn't
it
share
really
this with me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like poor me.
Guilt.
Like I never experienced that with him, or yeah, it's never a positive thing.
Interesting.
It definitely hurts. Like one of this like big loudmouth Italian guy, Pino, that like goes up and down Broadway in Massapequa, raves to my parents about how I make the coffee grind videos and how they're so great, and it's really sweet. And he's a character. He's one of those like he hangs out at that place.
I love that name, Pino.
Pino, yeah, he's a character.
Yeah.
But like rather than my parents or my dad or someone being like, oh wow, that's incredible that he did that for a coffee shop, it's like, oh well, he wouldn't do that here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yes, I would.
If you
I've actually
were
even asked you,
supportive.
but you're not supportive of that, and it's hard. It's in every aspect of my life.
That type of guilt too. It's like you can't help but ask. You want to ask them, like, what do you think you're going to get from that?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to incentivize?
It just pushes you away even
yes.
more. My cousin Dakota, who like her wedding was
she looked stunning.
Oh yeah, she looked beautiful.
She's a stunning girl.
She's stunning, yeah. And like that should have been such a fun day. Us celebrating her. The lead up to that of hearing how like I wasn't getting married, and it wasn't said to me, it was said to other people, but you hear it.
Yeah.
Hearing that is like, oh well, like I have a song out with 100,000 streams that people listen to, and I've met Tina Fey, and I've worked with like going through all the things.
Basically with Tina Fey.
Yeah, I've gone to like just like thinking about all the things in my head that were accomplishments. It's kind of like it like crushed me. It's like I have done, I think, a lot for someone my age.
100%.
And I don't never say that like, oh, I've done a lot, but I feel like I've done a lot. And to hear like that I wasn't married I
Right.
would love to have an Italian
family.
wife and a family
Yeah.
and kids. I don't think that I'm sterile. I think there's many years to go.
Yeah.
And rather than being able to focus on celebrating my cousin, it was like me like
guilt
feeling
trip.
like, oh my God, I'm nothing.
Right.
It's like so sad.
Yeah. And it's like, it puts you in a tough position because then you like, it's another moment of, well, I want to make you proud. So I want to do that and I want to
Yeah.
get married. And then you start stressing out about that. But you're like, but when have you ever kind of come into my world?
Mhm.
That's really difficult. And so,
And they don't get that world. Like even in that
Right.
moment, I was thinking like, you know what? Maybe I should go be a teacher again because then I can, I'll have more time. And like they don't understand. Like, first of all, you don't know what I'm doing at nighttime, or you think I'm like so lonely. Like I don't know if that's what's in their head. Like I'm out there doing my thing. Do you want to share that with your mom? Probably not.
no.
But that doesn't mean that those people are for marriage.
But I think it's also very difficult to share with families that are extremely traditional. Like our both of our sets of parents are extremely old school and traditional, where talking to them about the entertainment industry and in which we
Oh
live
God.
like is so frightening. Like just to boomers in general,
Yeah.
hearing that, like me and Dano had this conversation yesterday about something similar. Talking about like living off of not necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but off of checks that are essentially commission on your
Yeah.
craft, on your skill. I am giving out my skill in order to be paid for that in a lump sum. And them, like, they cannot compute that you are not getting paid weekly or
Weekly.
bi-weekly, by the hour, clocking in, clocking out, punch
Right.
in, punch out. That makes them like combust
Yeah.
mentally, because they're like, oh my God, you're not going to have a life. And I said this to Dano the other night. My mother recently just started, it's like she's got this new lease on life. She
Yeah.
just started taking out her Social Security payments.
Okay.
But my mother is like a young soul. Like, my mom is going to live
young.
forever.
Yeah.
But she just started like a new business, a dog boarding, dog walking business. And
okay.
she's doing incredible.
Wow.
And she, it's like a big celebration that, she's retired.
Yeah.
And she has this other business. And she took out her first Social Security check. I do not aspire to rely on Social Security. Who knows if it'll even be around when we get to that age?
Right.
I do not aspire to live off of that. I want to have so many streams of income and be so successful, be the first person in my family that has real wealth, that I can take care of everybody, that I won't have to even pitch myself for Social Security. Okay? Like, I want to have that level of success where, and I encourage everybody to think this large. Not only think it, but act on it.
Yeah.
Set yourself up for that.
Right.
I don't want to have to rely on a Social Security payment. I want to be able to know that I can rely on the work that I'm putting in now, the craft I'm putting in now, that in 40 years down the line, I won't have to even think about money.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that our families may not realize is like what you just said, because I feel the same exact way. Like, we're also doing this for them,
Right.
irregardless
Right.
of how we grew up or the feelings that they make us feel.
Yeah.
We're doing this like I say all the time, my first big check that I get, I want to pay off my parents' mortgage. Yep.
100%.
So they don't have to worry. My dad works like a slave.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that is all I want to say. Like, here you go. I can take care of you. So, like, when I think that you don't feel that pride from them, it hurts even more because it's like, I'm not just doing this for me.
Right.
I think we would both love, like, to get a check every week and be, like, nice
Oh,
and
for
comfortable and
sure.
relaxed. But that's also a life that, to me, and I'm sure you, is boring.
Yeah.
And a life
that's
that we don't want.
Yeah, and I this is a very difficult concept for a lot of people to grasp, and this is where a lot of people mess up because their family members will say, well, do you have a plan B? And I never, ever, neither one of us, me and Dominic are lifelong friends where it doesn't matter what seasons we go through. And like in another 5 years, if we don't want to talk to each other, we'll get back in another 10 years. Like, we always understood that a plan B was never an option. The moment that
Right.
you think you need a plan B, you've already clocked out, in
Yeah.
my opinion. If you think you need a plan B, whenever I would say this to my mom, I'm so grateful that my mom has always gotten it.
She has.
And she's always gotten it. And she always told me, she was like, you know, when people talk about a plan B, this was when I was 16, she was like, why do you get so upset? And I was like, because to me, if you tell me I need a plan B, you don't believe I can do it.
Yeah.
And I go, how many people have we seen that have become successful past the age of 35?
Yeah.
Imagine if they never did it.
Yeah.
You know, so many people, they become millionaires in their 40s. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
No.
Time for me, like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, you and I in another 20 years are going to be cackling on the front porch of
Yep.
one of our mansions, and our kids are going to be great, and like our families are going to be great. I know in my heart that that is going to happen, but I'm not going to stress about how or the
Right.
playbook of how. But that notion sounds so fanatical to people and like a fantasy that it scares them. And our family, they're like, well, I don't want you to get hurt or to wake up one day when you're 30 or 40 and be like, oh my God, I wasted my life. And I'm like, no, but if I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, I won't have to worry about that.
Oh, absolutely. I think that they're so consumed by the thought of like, well, what if this?
Yes.
That already happens.
It's a scarcity.
We're closer to
mindset.
30 than we are 20.
Right.
Like that had already happened and we're fine.
Right.
We're fine.
Right.
I went the plan B route for a very short time. Worst decision ever. I don't
Right.
regret it. I learned a lot, but I was a substitute teacher for like almost 3 years, and all I was able to do was focus on that job. And I wasted 3 years of my life to make less money than I make now. My side hustle, because you need a side hustle, is
Right.
making videos for other people, for companies, for doing their social media. How do I make more money? And this is kind of a sad thing for teachers. How do I make more money
Yeah.
making videos at my own leisure, in my own
In your
space?
bed.
Yeah. Then I was working 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. as a teacher,
Right.
making $150 a day.
Right. That's crazy.
With a million rules and regulations, you cannot post on TikTok, you cannot do this. Why did you say that? What are you doing? And it wasn't until COVID when I realized, wow, this is limiting me.
Yeah.
This was a backup. This was my side hustle to make money. I can't go to auditions.
Right.
I can't post on the internet because I'm a teacher.
Right.
I can't make music.
Right.
You can't do anything. So I think when you do go for it and you figure out, well, okay, I need money to pay rent, to eat food, to, get some things you want. That's what money's for. When you realize that the dream that you have is not just a dream, it's a lifestyle, I think that life becomes a lot easier. But what's the hardest thing is to tune out the people that don't understand that because they don't have that.
That's what turns a lot of people away, is that when you're so driven on a dream, or I don't like referring to careers as dreams. I actually think that it's so counterproductive.
It is.
Calling something a dream that is not real. I don't have a dream, I have a goal.
Yeah.
I don't have
I love that actually.
I don't have a dream, I have a goal. I don't have a fantasy. I don't have, or when people say like, oh, well, when you're going to get your big break. And I'm like, Chappell Roan is a great example of this. People are like, she's like an overnight success. She got her big break. I'm like, that girl was signed and dropped.
Right.
Lady Gaga was signed and dropped.
Yeah.
Oprah got fired.
Right.
Like, the dude, the Asian gentleman from The Hangover was a doctor before he is what he is. And now he's like on The Masked Singer. Like, we have to stop saying that. We have to stop using language. Language is so intentional, which is one of the things that I learned from the New York Film Academy, the whatever instructor that I had. Language is intentional, and everything that you say has a purpose, whether you realize it or not. And when you say like, it's my dream to do this.
Yeah.
If you are not close to achieving that, and you're saying that as if it's something that is a wish. And I don't like the idea of
But that
wish.
is only, if you think about it, that's only associated with our field.
100%.
Because, and that's what I think if that was taken away, it wouldn't seem so far-fetched to people because it is someone's dream to be a teacher. It is someone's
Right.
dream to be an accountant. They
Right.
really are passionate and they want to do that. That's the same thing. This is not like a dream, a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. We truly love storytelling.
Yeah.
We love singing. We love making videos. Just as much as someone loves to read a book and share about it, as much as someone loves to, I can't even think
Count
of things.
numbers
Yeah, like see,
as
like
an
it's
accountant.
foreign to me, and that's why I think artists can relate to that, because that stuff's foreign to us. We don't understand that world, but we're not judging you for doing that world.
I also feel like artists are some of the only people in the world where their career and craft is so discounted all of the time.
Yeah,
And it's shown as like not a real career.
yeah,
And it shows also like in like our politics where like when they need to cut budgets, the first thing they cut is the music or arts
yeah,
programs.
yeah.
100% because they feel like it's not a real career. But to that I say like we are both really good examples of how no, this is a career. Okay, like you can make a living off of this. I mean, the both of us right now with the way that the world is, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
New York is very slow. But like I know so many people where they're not pop stars.
Yeah.
Right? But they're making a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
And they're doing good for themselves,
I also think that people don't know, or they don't learn. Number one, high schools don't know anything about this.
Yeah. We need courses like this
Yeah.
in high schools.
You have your chorus teacher who's a chorus teacher.
Right.
And never did anything. And they're great. They're amazing. I think that our chorus teacher was actually very well versed and knew the industry. And
she was a gem.
she
We
taught
didn't
us.
appreciate it at the time.
We did not appreciate it. I learned from a young age, you have to hustle, you have to work. You don't need to be applauded. Like, she had taught me that.
Wow. She was really
I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought she was a bitch, to be
Yeah.
honest. And now looking back, I'm like, she taught me that if they don't clap, you keep going. Because she didn't clap for me. Your teacher that was supposed to be applauding you didn't clap. She gave you a note after the show was over.
Yeah.
It ended. It was done. Next time, try to do this so you could be better. There
Right.
was no applause from her.
Mm-hmm.
You had to prove something to get something.
Yeah.
That's the industry that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know deep down she had love for all of us, but
Yeah.
it wasn't really shown because she was training us.
Let me tell you guys something, like as two people in the industry and we've known people in the past where they're like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And look, they've had incredible voices and incredible talent. But, the both of us who've been working at this for so long, like I got into the industry at 18. And the one thing that the biggest advice that I can give to anybody is it doesn't matter how good you can sing. It doesn't matter how good you can perform. If somebody can outwork you, they're going to get the opportunity that you think you deserve.
Absolutely.
If somebody can outwork you, out-rehearse you, out-practice you, out-research you, out-learn you,
Mm-hmm.
there are no participation trophies in our industry. And that's how really talented people never get heard because you're too cocky.
Yeah. I don't think people realize it's truly not about talent.
It is.
There's
Talent's
there's
like maybe 15%.
so many talented people in the
Talent
world.
is 15% of it.
Like, so many people could sing.
Yeah.
Like, we could go on the street right now. I'm sure everyone could hold a tune.
Mm-hmm.
But can they can you work 18-hour days and not stop?
Mm-hmm.
Can you handle many things? Can you juggle it all?
And also a very difficult pill to swallow for a lot of people. It doesn't matter whether it's right or not or fair or not. If you're somebody like us who we don't come from money and we don't come from resources or network, you're also competing with the kids that have the rich mommy and daddy,
Yes.
that have the network, that have the resources. How are you going to be different than those kids whose uncle is the producer and the director?
Right.
Because whether you want to, listen, I'm sorry. If you're a Nepo baby, no shame to you. My children are going to be Nepo babies, but they're also going to be working in a deli when they're 13 years old.
Right.
You've never had to deal with choosing to eat and choosing between your dinner or getting new headshots.
Right.
Because your mom is a famous photographer. She can shoot gorgeous
Right.
headshots for you or something like that. Like, you've never had to choose between that. The struggle, if you're somebody that doesn't come from affluence or anything like that, you prepare to work yourself to the bone and don't feel fucking sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little sick and tired of the self-pity that I've been seeing.
Yeah. There's a lot of
self-pity.
self-pity,
lot of
especially in the younger generations.
I hate that we sound like that, but it's a
I
little
feel
true.
old.
I feel old, but it's a little true. It's a little true.
It's very true. I see it every week.
And I'm all for taking a self-day, a self-care day,
Yeah.
a personal day, an anxiety day. But you don't get to call out multiple times a month or say that you can't do a certain commitment because you have anxiety. That's a
Yeah.
privilege to me.
It is.
Do I think that that's correct that we never got that? No. But it's being able to feel that comfortable.
You know what I'll never understand with this new generation, not to sound old? We had jobs. Not a job, jobs. Went to high school, you played sports, you did the play. They don't do anything and they're overwhelmed. Like a lot of them are like, I can't do this show. I'm so sorry because I'm doing college auditions. I'm like, oh, I did college auditions. I was in 5 shows. I was in a concert. I was going to the gym.
And we did
I had
sports.
freaking 4 jobs. Like,
and we were in honor society. And we
right.
did it,
And I was never like even tired. So I'm like, damn. I was like, you can only do one thing at a time. You're not going to make it in this industry.
I think it's social media too.
It has to be.
Social media, I think, is extremely draining mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what it is.
And I think it's sad because they want to make it in this world, but you can't even handle doing 2 things at once.
Yeah.
And your mom pays for everything.
Right.
Our mom stopped paying at 13.
And you got to get out there and network. So you got to have that energy to go out there, network, and then tell somebody that you're good enough.
Yeah.
While also having the material to back it up.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's insane. I'm going to grab another drink. Shall we take a short break, grab a drink, and come back?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.